You know, if you get in trouble, I get in trouble. We don't want that.
So this is going to be a really messily put together video because a lot of people have said, like, what was Stolas even doing? Why, it doesn't make sense what he admitted to, but it actually does if you, I always say if you pay attention, if you look at everything we know about Stolas from the start to now, everything that's led up to this, everything we've learned about the structure of the society, and the way that the royalty and then the Sins view themselves, what Stolas, his big grand display shows us, what he's admitting to, it does make sense. So coming in and saying, oh, Blitz, you're under arrest, you're going to be put on trial for using a Goetian grimoire with unauthorized use, accessing the mortal realm unauthorized, and then they tack on the little part about bringing harm to Stolas, but that is such an afterthought that some people are like, oh, but what about the assassination attempt? There's a couple of things there that I'm going to get into in this video, but hopefully I can keep this kind of brief. I have a couple clips I'm going to throw in of things that have happened in other episodes that demonstrate a little bit of what I'm saying. But there's a few things from the beginning of the trial I want to talk about, highlight, before we jump to Stolas' intervention and his soliloquy and his song and his confession and all that.
Too much, Blitz. Freeze, criminals.
So obviously, you're arrested.
Come on, guys. This is all just one big misunderstanding. Is this about the orphans?
I'm going to turn
already sick to begin
the audio
with.
down. This here.
We are here to sentence the criminal imp.
So before this even starts, it is never presented as a real trial. They say in a second that you're on trial, but it's pretty much already decided. There is no, innocent until proven guilty stuff, because obviously this is hell. And they have a very specific class structure in place. And whether or not IMP, Blitz did any of the things that are being presented, they're already coming into this with the mindset of, we're here to punish these imps because they broke our laws. They did something we said they're not supposed to do. We're going to punish them. And it seems largely that execution is the standard. There are little things about it that show it. The nonchalance of it from Mammon that we get later. Obviously, the chopping block still has blood on it from whatever the past execution is. The fact that Blitz getting off after a death sentence becomes such a big deal. So we're coming into this with, this is a sentencing that nobody's actually trying to prove anybody was innocent here. The guilt is already assumed because somebody that's royal said so. Really, because all this is Androphus brought it forward. Hey, I found out that this imp was using a Goetian grimoire, and the supposed abuse of Stolas is so secondary. That's not what's important. Like I said, even the assassination attempt isn't what's important. What's important is they were using the grimoire without permission, and they are definitely not of the status to do that. So I just want that laid out before this even starts, that nobody cares who is innocent and who is guilty to a point. This is so much more about maintaining the status quo and punishing those that would step out of line.
Actually, sir, the O is really there. You nailed it. Great job.
And I do want to, like, and this is not the purpose of this video, but I want to point out that I think it's so interesting that Blitz has never been afraid or nervous to get in a Sin's face until faced with their creator, Satan. And I think that's, yeah, he's big and imposing and in his face, but that's never mattered before. And I just think it's interesting, that, he's mouthed off, bleh, what are words? He mouthed off to Mammon. He absolutely no respect for Asmodeus and his position. Straight up taunted B. Like, he doesn't, he just, no, doesn't care. But when it's Satan, that's when he starts to get a little nervous. And I just think that's a nice little character moment for him. Because, yeah, Moxie's nervous. Moxie's always nervous, but,
You and your crew are on trial for stealing a powerful goetic heirloom for undocumented personal use in the mortal realm. How do you plead?
That part just there. Undocumented personal use in the mortal realm. That is the main crime. And that is what Stolas is claiming ownership of. And I'll go into the specifics of it later, but I just want to point that out. That's what this whole thing has been for. They were brought here to be sentenced for that. They use the word trial, but the very first word they use is sentence. They don't care about proving innocence. You were using a goetic artifact to go to Earth without permission. You stepped out of line. That's the crime. So I'm not even going to dwell on any of this. I do, however, want to point out everything about the assassination happens really briefly, right? So they bring out Stryker. I'm not even going to press play with it. It's so nothing, right? They bring out Stryker. He gets his final sentence.
You see, this is what happens when
Androphis taunts him.
try to step out of line.
For the treacherous crime of stealing
Ice
a
Queen.
delicious grimoire for illegal
All right,
use,
here's his sentencing.
bringing harm to a goetic prince and accessing the mortal coil without clearance or procedure, you...
So, using the stealing and using the grimoire, accessing without procedure and permission, and bringing harm to a goetic. So the assassination is such a minor part of that, and in that moment, Stryker goes away. Like they send him back to where they summoned him from to go take Bombproof to the vet.
So, and your crew are hereby sentenced to death.
Hey, Levy, after we sell...
Yeah. So, sentenced to death, and then...
To remind all of mankind why our power must never be challenged again.
Hey, we're forcing this onto television all over hell. Taking over the airwaves at this point, turning on TVs. So we know from Fizz's text that we see in a second, and I'm not even going to pull it up because it's already been all over the text chain. He's like, hey, see you on TV. So Fizz was probably already watching the trial on whatever channel that they broadcast it on. But everybody else, whatever they were doing, was interrupted by this broadcast. So we just saw all that happen so that we can see Fizz's reaction, everyone else's reaction. Okay, here. So I ended up pausing it here. Anyway, I got interrupted by something. So, see you on TV. So Fizz is already watching, but everybody else is interrupted. So we see that moment for all these other characters.
No! Goddamn, Your Highness! It was me. It was all...
We see the setup for Blitz taking the fall. And then... So, Back up.
Just axe the mouthy one.
Oh, shit. I did not see that coming. Look, I'm sorry, Mox. I did everything I could.
You know he means you, right?
I'm going to cut this up
Fuck
so bad.
me.
Okay. So here's Stolas is channel surfing, but there's no click right there where it switches from the scene for Helenovela. So he's not changing the channels to the trial. That is at that point when Stolas' TV gets taken over by the broadcast. So all Stolas is seeing of this is this moment where the runner at the bottom is talking about, hey, this guy's about to get killed. He obviously knows something's happening. He doesn't have any of the background information about the trial at this point. He doesn't know they brought up the assassination and framed Blitz for it. He doesn't have any information other than that's Blitz, he's on trial, and he's been sentenced to death. So Stolas doesn't even actually know the specific crime that is being accused at this point. He freaks out and he runs off. So Blitz has already been sentenced. Even if Stolas threw his romper on in front of the TV before he left, he wouldn't get any additional information other than Blitz is about to die. And, of course, knowing what he knows, this is probably about the grimoire, right?
Do you have any final words? We'll pretend to care.
Stolas! Get your ass out of my face! What?
Oh, I forgot to grab my clips from the circus. I'll grab those in a second. So, at this point, Stolas has just acting on, I have to stop this from happening, right? So everything that's about to happen, he's having to come up with it in the moment, one assumes, based on the knowledge he has, which is Blitz is about to die. It's probably about the grimoire. Because he knew that that was the law they were breaking. That using the grimoire to access the mortal realm without permission. Giving him the Asmodean crystal gives Blitz jurisdiction and permission to access the mortal realm. That's why the crystal getting got was important, so that they were no longer engaging in that illegal activity and all the other stuff that has to do with the deal. So that is, we have to assume, because yes, we do have more information than Stolas does, but from what we've seen, this is the only information Stolas has. And so now he has to, what's he going to say? So either he has planned already to do this, that if they ever got caught, this is what he was going to do, which I don't think is the case here at all, because he is intelligent. We've seen that, but he's not a forward thinker. Like, if he was, he wouldn't have ended up in this situation in the first place. So, what am I going to do? How am I going to cover this? So, this is where Stolas' mask of the Goetic prince comes into play. He knows this society. It is a society he has been bred to participate in his whole life. As early as in the circus, we see him being trained into who he should genuflect to, who he should give respect to, and the way he should act in regards to those that are perceived as lesser. So he knows that. He knows the general attitude a royal, a Goetia, is supposed to have, right? And you can take Angelphus as the perfect example. He's this highbrow, everyone is beneath me kind of attitude. And he knows how to play that role. And we've seen him play that role in little snippets throughout the series so far. And I do have clips to back that up. So now let's look at what he says in his confession.
In Lucifer's hell is this?
I am about to explain everything in the only way I know how. Song! Yeah?
Stolas is the epitome of when your feelings are so big, you just have to sing them. So he's putting himself in a place where he can be comfortable in putting on this show, because what we're about to see is the Goetic Prince mask on display.
Yes!
And you can even see it in the way his facial expressions change. See, he's determination there. That, oh, of course it. I hate this. I wish I could track better.
A worm such as this.
No, I'm going to have to go back.
Just as soon as I heard.
Okay. This face. This is so not the Stolas that we, the viewer, are used to, because we see Stolas when he's with Blitz. We see him when he can let that mask fall, when he can be his dorky, nerdy, I love books and plants self. But this is Goetic Prince Stolas. This is, I am a Goetia. I am better than these lessers. And he says, I came down just as soon as I heard of the imp accused of the devilish crime. So I heard about this and I had to rush here.
The imp stood accused of a devilish crime.
And Angela, he is so loving this. This is exactly what he wanted to happen. I just had to point that out, because some people have also said, like, what was his goal even? This literally right here was his goal. He gambled based on what he knew about Stolas' heartbreak from Stella, that he would be willing to destroy his life for this imp. And he is getting everything he wants right here. And it's also just a wonderful face.
Could be that a worm such as this, half a brain, could concoct such a plot so sublime.
So that he's playing into, and I've seen a few people comment on this, that line. Could it be that this half brain, like he's an imp, guys. He's an idiot. Like, we're Goetia. He's an imp. Do you really think he could have come up with this? He's playing into those biases, that racism, the stereotypes that they have employed to enforce this class system. Imps, they're grunt work, right? Like we just had a whole class in it in Ghost Fuckers, with Millie pointing out they're just brutes. They're just the muscle. They're not there to think and come up with ideas. They just do the thing they're told to do. We also got that during the first part of the quote unquote trial. You know, Blitz says it. They're just doing what they're told. That's what we're supposed to do, right? And then Satan admits it. I created imps to be obedient. So Stolas is playing into that. I came down here when I heard you accuse him of this whole plan. Like, do you really think he could do that? He's an imp, for goodness sakes.
This fool deserve the flame, or is someone else to blame? Like who, you ask? Some kind of mastermind, a mind behind the plan. Some villain's grand design to use the book to breach the world of man.
Okay. This is the part that confuses a lot of people. Well, it's Stolas' grimoire. Why would he need an imp to go to Earth for him? Stolas has a job. The grimoire was given to him to do that job. Just because he's a prince and he's demon royalty does not mean that he does not have rules and restrictions on himself as well. And that's where this comes in. He hasn't said it's him yet, but he said that there's someone pulling the strings here. There's someone getting this imp to do these things. Someone who's trying to go do things in the mortal realm that they're probably not supposed to be doing. So we already know Stolas' job is to study the sky and make prophecies. So we have an implication there that we're just going to have to run with just for a second. Stay with me. That Stolas, while it's not unheard of, it's not his job. It is not his position to go to Earth and interfere with the lives of mortals outside of what his job is. I'm not even going to pull out the Lesser Key of Solomon stuff and read like the literal, like this is what Stolas is over, but it's stuff like teaching people about plants and stars and stuff like that. So here he's saying someone is using this imp to go to Earth and do things that they're not supposed to, right? So they're using the imp. So in this case, whoever the mastermind is, which he's about to say is himself, is using Blitz and his team to go do their dirty work on Earth. And you go back and you think to the pilot. And I know the pilot's not fully canon and all that stuff, but Stolas of the pilot specifically wanted to target people on Earth to improve Hell's numbers, let's say. So why would he need to do that through Blitz and not just himself? He can access that. He's not supposed to do those kind of things. So it would be like Asmodeus sending people out to massacre, right? That's not Lust's job. So going and killing people on Earth, that's not Stolas' job. So if he needed or wanted that to be done, he would need to do underhanded methods to do it. He would still be breaking the law because that's still unauthorized use access to the mortal realm.
Could he be roaming free, scheming more mastermindery? Will he rest? Who knows what he may unleash?
So there's a class system in place. And he's saying whoever has actually planned all this stuff and had it come out, he could have bigger plans. He could be working behind the scenes to step well above his station. Because not all royals are the same, right? We know that Androphus, let's just use the examples that we have from the show, right? Androphus is beneath Stolas, right? And Stolas is obviously beneath the Sins. So there is a hierarchy within the upper echelons of this class system. So there is still stepping out of your place. And we've already seen it is very important that people do not step out of their place in this society. That's why Satan has turned on all the cameras so that all the imps can see this is what happens when you step out of your place. You die. Only, of course, that's been interrupted and they left the cameras rolling because they're caught up in the moment. They probably should have turned them off, but here we go. We're broadcasting this whole thing to everybody.
Next, do you execute this little wretch? Pat yourself on the back, close the cage.
Oh, his face is so good there. So he's saying, okay, cool. So there's probably somebody pulling the strings because, like, there's no way an imp could be doing this. So now what are you going to do? You're just going to execute him on live TV and say, that's it. It's done. There was nothing else going on here. We've taken care of the problem.
Let this imp take the blame, take the fame. Let his name light a fire in the hearts of his race.
And while you're doing that, you're letting all of Imkind see you execute this guy. And that could potentially go badly. Like, that could have the opposite effect. Especially if he wasn't really the one at fault. Because if he's being falsely executed, then that's going to piss them off. And that could lead to, greater consequences to the and effects on the class structure.
Why, it's more than I can bear. I must make all of hell aware.
And the performance The performance of Prince Stolas, the mask of the self-important Goetic prince, is saying, you're just going to let this happen? I can't even. Like, literally, I can't even handle that. That you're going to just say it was this imp. It's just like, it's too much. I cannot believe you guys are just so dumb, basically. That you really think he's pulling the strings here. This is all his plan. And then you're going to do something so stupid as to execute him on TV and potentially cause a riot.
Fuck it! I am the mastermind.
Don't give him the credit. This is my idea. I'm the smart one here. That's what he's saying when he says, I have to let you guys know. I can't just let him take credit for my great idea. How dare you think an imp could think of something so wonderful and intricate? This was my plan.
The hand that holds the strings.
That part right there. Satan's reaction is kind of all you need to know. Because at this point, it doesn't matter what they're there for or what originally was accused, because he's attacking egos now. And we've seen it doesn't matter which sin you are. The egos are a big weak point. Like, I know Lucifer is pride, but come on, they're all guilty of it. Just super guilty of it. So by saying, like, I'm the one, this was my plan, and I had you all fooled, I can't believe it. Like, you actually believed that it was him. It was me. I was doing sneaky stuff, moving around in the background, sending them to Earth to do my bidding without your permission. At this point, again, Stolas doesn't know that they brought up the assassination attempt. And it's such a whatever factor, it doesn't even matter now. Like, everybody's already forgotten about that. Stryker who? Right? And he's gone. He's on his way to the vet. Like, he doesn't care. Like, he's not coming back to be like, hey, don't forget what I said. He's getting his paycheck. He doesn't care. So the assassination, it doesn't even matter anymore. So even if you do remember the assassination thing, it makes sense that he, in this case, would have set up the assassination attempts himself in order to frame Blitz, to make it look like Blitz was doing this all on his own. But in this grand confession, he's playing the part that his ego, it can't handle not taking the credit. We know as the viewer that that's not the case. We know he's doing this to save Blitz. But from their perspective, he's doing this because he doesn't want the credit to go to the wrong person. He's willing to give himself up for the thing that he was supposedly doing, rather than let someone else take the credit. And that makes sense if you're thinking about the Goetia from the Goetia perspective. With the exception we see of Visago, who is the only one that's like, what is even happening here? And then he looks disappointed, because clearly he thought better of Stolas for whatever reason. We don't know their background yet.
No simple imp of mine could master the disaster. Oh, it stings that you thought you had caught the schemer of the schemes I wrought. I confess.
There it is. It stings that you thought you had caught the schemer of the schemes I wrought. I can't believe you thought you caught this great planner who had done all this sneaky stuff behind your backs and you had no idea, and you believe it was an imp. How could you?
It was me and I have no regret.
I'm not here to analyze the soliloquy, so I'm sadly going to move past it. But yeah, I confess, and I have no regrets. Yeah, I did it. I did it, and you didn't even know. I'm smarter than all of you. And I'm giving myself up because I need you to know how much smarter than you I am. Okay, maybe I'll play it a little.
I have regrets. Why am I throwing my freedom away for this idiot? I would rather be dead than live life without you by my side. So if it keeps you alive,
What are you doing? I don't deserve this!
I am the mastermind, the master of my fate. Sure as the stars have shined, I'll give my life to clean your slate. You're my light,
You're my heart.
only death can rend our love apart.
Okay.
Well, isn't that adorable?
Again, of course, people have already pointed out when he says isn't that adorable, he can't hear the soliloquy. He's saying, oh, it's so cute that you think you pulled one over on all of us, that you're so much smarter than us. Well, guess what?
We have been betrayed by one of our own, a goetic demon.
Poor, disappointed
Your hubris
Visago.
has gotten the better of you, Prince Stolas.
Guess what? Okay, your hubris has gotten better of you means, well, you needed so badly to tell us that it was you that you just gave yourself up, dumbass.
I am the Mastermind, and here I am the law. I've ruled the endless dark since long before the golden angels fall. So you see, next to me, your master plans all look so small. Little mice, when you break my rules, you pay the price.
So yeah, Satan is saying, like, I don't know what you thought you were doing there, because I'm the one that's running everything. You thought you pulled one over on me, but then your dumbass just walked in here and confessed. And what, like, no. So obviously now you're going to be in trouble for this. You're going to have to pay for it. I don't know why you thought you were smarter. I'm clearly the smartest guy in the room. I've been doing this forever, and I do it better than you.
Release the pawn. Stolas of the
So Blitz is free to go because he was doing what he was told from the perspective of what Stolas just said. He was doing what he was told, and he was being framed for what Stolas was saying that he was doing. And that's why Stolas is getting all that hate afterward, because the lower class is mad at him for thinking that he could just play with their lives. Because as Blitz said, royals do this all the time. Think you could play with our feelings because we're smaller and not as important. That's the prevailing attitude that the upper class has. That is the perception. And Stolas played into that perception to save Blitz's life. And the only people that know it are IMP and Stolas and Androlphus.
Scotia.
And kind of
You
Stella.
are a disgrace.
No, Stolas, you can't do this!
So Stolas is a disgrace. Oh, it's not the heart yet. It's so cute when it turns into the heart. Stolas is a disgrace because he stepped out of line. You know, you could make the argument you were a prince. You could have had everything you wanted if you just stayed in your place. But the whole thing about this show is that staying in the place someone else put you in is not, that's not a life. You have to find your own place.
Stolas,
Oh,
please!
heart. Okay.
Get the fuck off me!
Anyway, so I guess that's all I wanted to say. Hopefully I can cut this together and make it not 8 million years long, because it's an hour long at this point, and I still have to go grab my clips from the circus. So I'm gonna
Are you ready to know what you will be meant to do to serve hell?
Yes, Father.
You will be entrusted with the study of the earth skies, the stars, the prophecies they hold, all that stuff. Isn't that fun? You will begin the studies of your grimoire, which will grant you access to the mortal realm to study and observe, and you will grow to be a mighty prince of hell with your own legions to lead and pass on your knowledge to.
Grant you access to the mortal realm to study and observe. It is not Stolas' place to interfere.
I will do my best, Father.
Wonderful. Also, son, you are destined to sire a precautionary addition to the Goetia family, so you are now engaged. Congratulations. Isn't she charming?
Oh, that poor gay boy.
Hi, I'm Bledsoe.
I'm Stolas. It's nice. Ouch.
Don't bow to that one. He bows to us, idiot.
Oh, right. Sorry, Father.
I'm so good at daddying.
Okay.